ladies was just so down to earth. I remember myself and my roommate, Jonelle Gatlin. We just kind of watched the sisters strolling across campus in their white and black, and went to a couple of the community events and things that they were participating in, and just fell in love with it. Just
Right,
fell in love with it, and we
right,
played together. It was 10 on my line. Yeah.
I can certainly appreciate that. When I play as Groove, that was nine on my line and two dropped. But that's okay. Seven of us went over, and I'm still in contact with a lot of those brothers today. We have, I think, one that's out of the country, and I've been trying to reach him as well. But now, hey, Tiffany, where are you? She disappeared on us for a little bit.
I'm
Okay.
here. I'm
Uh,
here.
Okay. Let's see. I'm going to try to check. Why did you join Swing?
Mm, great question. I joined. What was it? I think it was an event that they had at St. Aug, and so I went to it, and then I saw the ladies there. My swing mama, the late Cheryl Corningay, and Jewel Dunn, and I saw how they were dressed. They were dressed in their black dresses and the pearls, and I forgot what the event was about, but
Hmm.
I was there, and I just, I saw myself, um as a reflection. I saw my reflection in them, in swing, and it our saying is dare to be different. And I've always been considered to be different. I could never fit in with certain females at school and stuff. And these women that I saw at the event, at St. Aug, they were like these classy ladies, and
Mm,
um, they welcomed me with open arms. You know what I mean?
right.
And so, yeah, it was just, I felt like I belonged. You know what I'm saying? Like I finally have some people that I can hang out with, or just be with, and so that's what drew me. I believe it was really the sisterhood and the fact that I saw these classy women doing some great things, and that's what I wanted to emulate.
Right. My experience with Groove, and wonderfully said, my experience with Groove, I joined, I pledged at Virginia Union, Panther chapter, and we had, oh my God, we pledged for 13 weeks.
Wow.
Solid. I haven't heard of any other. I've talked to grooves around the country from different chapters, from different universities, and they look at me like, "Are you serious?" I said, "Look, you can't make this up." And I'm going to look. I pledged 13 weeks, and I'm going to say it too. I'm going to say it. Nope, nope, absolutely not. And so, some it just depends. Oh, there's Mark Daniels. Hey, there's Mark. Hey,
Good.
Mark, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm here at work. I always make sure I'm in to uh, doing this great show today.
Oh, thank you so much. And so we have a special guest on today. I was waiting for you, and I'm waiting for Robert Hicks. I'm holding off because I wanted to talk about this amazing sister, Edna Van, because I had the pleasure of speaking with her off air. And is it okay that I said that I invited you to come on to be one of the panelists? Is it okay for me to say that? I,
Yes, it's okay.
I think I already did, huh?
Yeah, I think you did.
I think I did because it was so exciting. Yeah, I mean, I just had a great time. Normally when I have a guest on, we'll talk about maybe 10, 15 minutes, but I think Edna and I, we were on for quite a bit longer.
About
And
50 minutes. Yeah, about 50
we
minutes.
want to hear your story. But you ladies were telling us how and why you joined Swing. And I love both of your testimonies. I'm just going to put it that way, okay? But my thing for joining Groove is entirely different. Uh, uh, I wanted to party, and Groove was the hippest thing on campus. You know, I was invited to be a Kappa. I was invited to be a Q. I could have been an Alpha. Any of them. That was my choice. But I chose Groove, even though I knew that the organization had only started in 1962. in comparison with other organizations who've been around for maybe 100 years or so. But the grooves were the coolest cats on campus. And if you want to go to a party, you went to a groove party. What I'm proud of today is that my brothers out there, they are doing community work. They're sharing their experiences. And that's why we have this show right here, which I'm so proud of, called Groove Swing Speaks. And Mark can attest to this because Mark went over in California, the LA grad chapter, and I had the pleasure of meeting that brother then. And I'm gonna let Mark tell his own reasons why he decided to join Groove. And we had a program called Groove Talk Radio. I think I mentioned that to both of you ladies before. And on Groove Talk Radio, it was mainly grooves, and we didn't advertise as much as I think that we could have. All right, but we did have different guests to come on. We even had the national vice president, not the current vice president. I mean, president now. But we had the national president on. We should talk about very meaningful topics and subjects and things of that. But when we came to Virginia, Richmond, and over a couple of months ago, I decided I wanted to incorporate and bring on swings, and let's connect the dots around the country. So, Mark, I'm gonna step aside, and I'm going to ask you, why did you? I already know the answer, but why did you why did you decide to become a groove or wanted to
You
be a?
know, well, for me, it was kind of crazy because in my family, Catholics, my brother, my dad. I mean, it was there. But I had a sister, older sister, that went to Morgan State, and I always looked up to her. Uh, and I remember the first time she came back home. It was Thanksgiving. I'll never forget it. I was about 11 or 12 years old. And she got to talking about the fraternities and the sororities and organizations. And she started talking about groove. And I mean, by the time she was ready to go back to school at the age of 11 or 12, I was already ready to pledge. I mean, she had me really, it was like, man, this is what I want to do. And then going to Virginia Union, I mean, I was all hyped up, got to Virginia Union, and Groove was on the yard, but was not on the yard.
I see.
They had their own. Remember, they had their own room and store hall, their own. Everything. But they weren't on the campus, and I was devastated. Still, I said, you know what? I'm not doing anything else. This is all I wanted to do. And as life takes it, moved on with life. Went into the military, got out. Had a family, different things, and then the groove, like I said, it always stayed in my mind. And eventually, one day I reached out and I said, I probably won't hear anything, but I'll just take a flyer on. And I reached out and I got a reply and got to, at that point, got to speak with Robert Brown, and then, got the opportunity to come to your house, William, and
Yeah.
basically, meet everybody, and and the rest was history from there. I mean, it was something that, like I said, I always thought it fit my personality, fit what I considered something unique. I wanted to always be different, um, and carve my own legacy for myself.
Hmm.
I mean, I couldn't have chosen a greater organization, and becoming a brother Groove by Groove Social Fellowship Incorporated.
Outstanding. And yes, I remember meeting Mark for the first time. And Mark and this happened, what is it, 4 years ago?
No,
Was it
five.
5 years ago now? And Mark and I still stay in constant contact. Actually, Mark is a part of he's a co-host on our sports show, which comes on Saturdays at 3 p.m. And I'll tell you right now, if you are into sports, football, baseball, basketball, boxing, and etc., tune into the Studio W Sports page. Mark, we call him the guru of boxing. Okay, and now he knows football, baseball, basketball, and all of those too, right? But he's the expert on the panel when it comes to boxing. And these guys are great. I will put them up against Stephen A. Smith and any of his cats any day. Any day. These guys are really, really awesome. And so now, what we want to do, I want to get to Sister Edna Van because we have first international vice president Crispen Booker coming on top of the other hour or the next hour, brother. So let's get to Sister Edna Van. And Edna, please tell us, who is Edna Van and what do you do?
Okay, well, I am a humble individual from North Carolina, from a little town called Winton, North Carolina, that's near Hoskin, Murfreesboro. I don't know if anybody have ever heard of it,
Nope.
but yeah, population probably about 500, but that's
Oh
okay.
no, no, no.
Small type community. But as I said, I graduated from North Carolina Central in 1981 with a BS degree in recreation. Then I got my master's in therapeutic recreation, got a master's in special ed, and became a school teacher, special ed teacher. Taught
Right.
for a little while, got into school administration, and then got into my last 5 years before retirement. I was a senior administrator for special ed services in Wake County. Did that. Upon retirement, the year before I retired, I actually knew what I was going to do when I retired. And I knew I wanted to start my own business, and I did, and it's called Parent to School. And it's a special education consultant and advocacy business where there's three parts to that. I do training on policies and procedures in special ed. I am a facilitator where I facilitate meetings for the Department of Public Instruction in North Carolina between schools and parents when there's confusion and disarray and those kinds of things. And then I am a parent navigator. And in that role, which I love the most probably, is I support parents in advocating for their special need kids at school.
Right.
And then somewhere in between there, with Brother Willie, I've written 2 books. So
Right.
I guess I'm an author too. I guess I'm an author also.
Right. Oh, I love it. We're going to talk about that too. Now, for the record, my swing sisters are the only people that can call me Willie. My name is William. Rock started that, right? And I
Okay.
don't know. It's just like growing up, I used to hate the name Willie. I used to hate
Oh,
it. I used to hate it. I used to hate it. I don't know why. Don't ask me why. Okay, but you sisters are allowed to do that. Okay, that's fine.
but I'll try to remember William.
Thank you, darling. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, you mentioned something about, and then we want to go around the panel because I want Tiffany and Mark to ask you anything you want because what you do is so vitally important. You recall, and I think I mentioned this to you, is that in the area that you and dealing with special needs children, there are so many. I'm paraphrasing now what I said. There are so many areas where these children are overlooked, underappreciated, underdiagnosed, undercared for. I think that's what I really want. They're undercared for because I think that the people that they have in those positions either don't care or they are not educated on how to deal with our children that are special children. Could you address that about or pick apart anything I said? Under
Yeah, and I wouldn't say that they don't care, William. I think special ed teachers uh, um, are overworked. It takes a lot of patience. It takes a lot of resources to provide the appropriate services to special needs kids. And I would say that the staff most of the time they're just overworked because there are so many kids and so little resources. But you are right. There are a lot of things that could be overlooked. One of the reasons that I started my business to help parents is because I can remember my last year of work, and I would sit in meetings with teachers and school administrators and attorneys, because most of the time when I had to attend the meetings, attorneys were involved because the parents were thinking about suing the district and those kinds of things. But one of the reasons that I started my business is because I was sitting in a meeting, and sometimes as educators, and I have to put myself in this category because I'm sure that I did it at one point or another. We're in meetings and we forget that parents don't know the acronyms that we know. They don't know the policy and the strategies. But I was sitting in a meeting and I realized that we sometimes will say that parents don't care because their kids may not be as successful. But what I realize is that parents don't know. And what they don't know, they don't know. And I realize that sometimes as educators, we don't do a great job of explaining policies and procedures and acronyms. And we'll sit in meetings and we use all these acronyms. And sometimes we never ask the parent, do you really understand what we're saying? And when I realized that, that's when I realized that I wanted to help parents to understand the process, the special education process, and prepare them for the special education meetings. Because sometimes you can go into a meeting with a parent and it may be 5 people, and I've sat at the table with a parent with 21 people, and that can be overwhelming for parents. And I've seen it. So I just want to, in the business that I do, in my business, I just want to help parents to understand the process, no questions to ask, because when parents know, they can help you. And if they can help you, they can help their child, and then the child can be more successful.
Outstanding. Now, what I was alluding to about some of these people that are put in charge, or I'm talking about the so-called professionals.
Right.
Uh, I've heard stories about them really not caring. They're there for a paycheck. Oh, and not. I'm not saying this is everybody across the board, because you are someone who does this and you have a passion for it. Okay, and in any industry or any profession, we find out that a lot of people really don't have a passion for what they're doing. Okay, they say,
Yeah,
"Hey,
that is true.
this is a job." They look at it as a job versus, you know, an opportunity to really make a difference. What would you like to say about that?
Well, yeah, you're right, and I think that's in any profession that you're going to have people that they're in it for a paycheck and they really don't care,
Mm-hmm.
or they really don't give that 100%. And one of
Mm-hmm.
the things I've always said about special need kids, they normally need 110 because they need that extra.
Right.
They need that extra, and I think that's in any profession. I think that's in
Okay.
any profession. Yeah.
Okay. And now I'm going to. I'll come back. But Tiffany, um, do you have any questions, or can you relate in any way to what Sister Edna was saying? I mean, your bike, y'all.
Sorry about that. Um, I do have a question. What drew you to special ed or special education?
Right. When I was at North Carolina Central, I was a recreation major. And one of the things that we had to do as a recreation major, we had to work with the Special Olympics. That was part of our internship and getting hours and stuff. And when I started working with the Special Olympics, I knew then, and I didn't even want to be a teacher. I wanted to be a recreation major. I just wanted to play with kids. That's really what I was doing. And I love just playing with kids. So it was my beginning with the Special Olympics that really drew me to that. And then after recreation, my mom told me, said, I don't know how much money you really gonna make playing with kids. You might need to think about something else. But it all started with working volunteer with Special Olympics. Yeah.
Oh, that is wonderful. And Mark,
Yes, sir.
uh, what would you like to share or ask Edna?
I guess she said one of the most important, in listening was, I think, with special needs children is having the patience.
Mm,
I think that's where a lot of people get lost. I got a goddaughter. She's slightly autistic, And there's where she does things or things occur, and you have to have that patience. And for a teacher to have to do that every day, 5 days a week, 8, 9 hours a day with kids, it takes a lot of uh, patience. And to be honest with you, I think it's probably the hardest teaching job you can have because I mean, you're basically, I don't want to say reprogramming, but you're trying to program somebody to be in a normal setting when it's not still quite normal, so to speak. And I think rated, to be honest with you, I think they're probably the most important part of a faculty in teaching you would need because not everyone has that patience. Not everybody
Mhm.
has that type of how can I put it, to nurturing spirit, and you have to have that. You can't go into it halfway. You got to either be all in or don't don't even involve yourself.
Yeah, that
Absolutely.
is so true, brother Mark. That is so true. And when I have taught kids with severe behavior problems when I was teaching special ed, and I've worked with autistic kids during the summer, and I've worked with kids that have learning problems and kids that are hyperactive. And you're right, it's the patience part. But what I try to do is hone in on their strengths as opposed to looking at
Mm.
what they can't do. So I try to look at what they can do and increase that talent, that gift, that skill, as opposed to looking at what they can't do. Because we already know what they can't do. But what is it that they can do, and how can we hone in on that to improve their skills and to prepare them for life and those kinds of things.
I think uh brother Robert is having some technical difficulties getting in. I'm going to step outside for a minute, and I want Mark and you, Mark and Tiffany, to continue the process here for about 3-4 minutes, okay? But I have a question because what you're saying, and Mark, that was a brilliant question there. And I love your answer, sister, that you horn in. And I haven't heard that approach before because this subject has come up on this network, and it's come up on this particular program. I really don't want to call it a show. I want to call this a particular important program, special needs, autism. These things have come up before in the past right here on this show program, brother. And we've only started this, Tiffany, what, about maybe 8-9 weeks ago or so, and special needs. And Mark said something profound, and that was, you really have to have the patience and love what you're doing. Now, think about those two things right there: patience and love. Wow. I think
Yeah,
that's deep on its own because we can add that to any part of whatever life gives us or whatever, patience and love. But in your particular field, Sister Edna, I think that is vitally important. I'm so glad that Mark brought that up. And that goes back to what I was saying before. Take people that's in your field that are in positions that's similar to yours that don't have the patience or the love. Uh, What would you like to
yeah,
say
and
about that?
it's hard,
Yeah.
and when they don't have it, it affects the kids. I
That's
used to. I used to, you got to take every day. Got to be different. It's a new day every time you walk into the classroom, or every time you're working with kids. It has to be a new day. Um, and I can remember working with kids in middle school that has severe behavior problems. You can't take what they say personal because they're just kids. But one day they might be using profanity against you, and the next day they need a hug, or they hugging you or thanking you for something that you've done to them. So you just gotta, and then you gotta find opportunities to laugh and have fun with them. Because if you don't, I'm telling you, if you don't, it becomes really hard. It becomes really hard, and you'll lose your patience really fast. But
right.
I think working with special needs kids, and probably just kids today, and I'm so glad that I have retired and I don't really have to work with kids today because I don't know if my old fashioned temperament will align with the new type kids we have today. Uh, but you just gotta find opportunities to laugh and have fun with them too. Because I used to say as an administrator, I used to tell my kids as an administrator, I would laugh at them, and they were like, "Miss Van, you laughing at me?" I'm like, "Yeah, because I know as soon as I turn my back, y'all gonna laugh at me about something. So yeah, I laugh at you about some of the stuff that you do." Yeah.
Oh, that is crazy. Oh, welcome to the set. Our brother, Robert Hicks. Hey, brother. Fellowman, how are you?
Go ahead. Everything is everything, Groove. And greetings to our sophisticated sisters of Swing 5 Swing Social Fellowship Incorporated. Thank you for being on here tonight. Panelists Tiffany Hilliard and also special guest Miss Edna Vaughn. And I just came on just a couple of seconds ago, but I did note one thing that you had, Sister Edna, was your basically your verse that you have that you love so dearly, Jeremiah 29:11. For I
Yes.
know the plans that I
Yes,
have for you,
for
saith the
you.
Lord of hosts.
Yes.
Plans to prosper you and not harm you. Plans to give you hope in the future.
Yep.
And
That's my favorite verse. Yeah. Or verses. Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm going to ask you guys to continue the dialogue. Okay, I have to attend to something for the next 3 or 4 minutes. But Robert, um, I don't know whether you know or have officially met Sister Edna or not, uh, but she is an amazing woman, and and I'm sure that you heard this too. Uh, she talked about love and passion dealing, with special needs children, you know, and I want to find out and start this conversation that it's also known that a lot of these children have talents, special talents. Okay. So, Brother Robert, I'm going to leave it right there. Sister Edna, do you want to address that? And then I want Brother Robert to take over.
Oh yeah, I mean, just like I was saying, you have to look for what their strengths are. I was at something at the DPAC last year, and there are a group of special need adults put on a talent show. I mean, it was just amazing to see them sing and dance, and even some of they had vendors and artists out there, and some of the paintings that they had painted, and those kinds of things. And I always like to say that just because a person is special needs in one area, it doesn't mean they can't excel in something else. And I think that's why I always try to look at what the strengths are. Let's hone in on the strengths and let's improve those strengths. Yeah, we're going to work on the needs and the weaknesses too, but let's always showcase the strengths in students.
And yes, absolutely. Because as you said, Sister Edna, every child and every person can learn. They just have to learn in a different manner. And I would say also, just as pretty much an aside, I know that I am here with actually I'm filming William Brown and filming Mark Daniels. I also have a couple of other filmmen alongside with me. They are filming Larry Newell from DC Graduate Chapter, as well as filming Carol Durham from the Baltimore Columbia Graduate Chapter as well. So,
hey guys, how you
Hola,
doing?
how's everybody doing?
How's my sister?
Doing
Hola.
great. Hola.
We're gonna learn about a lot about each other tonight, so we're gonna have an open dialogue, open mic night, okay?
Fantastic.
Open mic night. We want everybody to share in and give their opinions and points of view, and then we're gonna go call it out and settle and see where everybody is. Yeah, this is me right here, okay?
Okay.
I've been in Groove since I was 11 years old for all intents and purposes. They took me off the street in Baltimore in 1963. Okay, I was an 11-year-old. I was born in 1952. My father was a jitterbug. He brought us there. He got a job at Sparrows Point, Maryland. And everybody know the point, right? In our culture, the point was where it was at. Because those guys made money, they were labor, but they got paid. They did what they did. My father was one of the first electricians go into the union with the union that they had established at the point. Okay, and it was a steel workers union, by the way. So he got in. He was among the first to get one of those electrical certifications where he could do the electrical certified work for them. And he became what they call an electrician, fully certified, et cetera, et cetera. And he worked that for 35 years. He retired.
Okay.
And, the rest is history.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. Back to your, and also I just wanted to,
Carol, yeah, he's got a book. Carol is a writer.
That's, hold on, right? This is following Carol Durham right here.
Yes.
Hello, brother. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, sister?
Good, great.
Yeah, my experience is different from Larry's. I grew up a military brat, so when I first ran in the groove, I was directly out of Vietnam, post-traumatic stress disorder. So, that's how I went through college to this day. So,
tell me about your book.
Well, my book has been out since 2010. It's about the onset of PTSD and an African-American soldier during the Vietnam War. And me and Mr. Brown have talked before at a cookout I was at, about a year ago. We talked a little bit about, what I want to continue to do with it. So it's a pleasure to meet you all.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. So back to yourself, Sister Edna, because one of the things that also that I did a little bit of research in is you're originally from North Carolina Central.
Yes.
Yes. Can you tell me some of your experiences at North Carolina Central and how your experiences from there led you into the field that you're in today?
Yeah, I went to North Carolina Central from high school on a basketball scholarship. I played 4 years of basketball, enjoyed it. And then, as I was saying, I was a recreation major. And I love, working with kids, working with Special Olympics. Love North Carolina Central because it was always like a big family. I had a sister that was at North Carolina Central. She was 2 years older than I was. So, whenever I needed anything, it's always nice to have a sister who lived off campus. You can go and eat and those kinds of things. But even in my dormitory, my dorm mother, she was very instrumental in making sure we did the right thing. All of my professors at the time, back in between 77 and 81, they were just really personal people with you. You could go and you could talk to them and they would help you out. So it was just a strong community, and they always promoted you to do your best. They just wouldn't let you, get by with anything. And plus being on a basketball scholarship, I had to keep my average up, my grades up and that kind of thing. But I think just being at North Carolina Central around strong people when I joined, when I pledged and joined Swing Fight Swing, the ladies there always, and to this day, I don't care what you do, you got sisters that's supporting you, sisters that's in your corner. And that was it just builds upon who I am today. Had parents that made us work hard. I think probably my work ethic really comes from my father, who had a 6th grade education. My mom went to she had 11th grade education, but at 60 years old, she went back and got her GED. My dad would make us do homework every night. And it was so funny because I tell people all the time, my dad would get home from work and he was like, do your homework. And we was like, Dad, we already did our homework. I did my homework at basketball practice. He was like, sit down, open up your book and do some more. And my dad didn't know whether we were doing homework or because he couldn't read that well. But what he was doing, he was still instilling in us the importance of education. So we stopped doing homework before we got home and just waited until we got home when he said, open up your books and do your homework. And that's when we would do it. But he always instilled, both our parents instilled in us that they wanted us to have more than what they had. And that when you got an education, you have choices and you have opportunities. And that was the same thing when I went to Central. The people were my instructors and dorm mother and stuff. It's still the same thing. Get a good education, because once you get a good education, you have choices. You don't have to settle for less. So yeah.
Absolutely, because that's one thing that your parents have definitely instilled in you is a strong work ethic and being able to do your best, and that's translated to what you're doing today. Um, I know even in these times right now, it's been kind of difficult, especially when it comes down to instilling various different values and virtues with our children, but it is definitely important to make sure that they understand the idea of what it means to work hard, another way to be able to work smart, and another way to be able to just work for what you believe in, what your dreams are, what your goals are, because that is definitely going to carry them to the next levels that they have in life. And definitely, Sister Edna, definitely applaud you for your hard work and your dedication when it
Here,
comes
here.
down to
Thank you.
with children, as well as basically also showing yourself as a beacon for a lot of strong women, especially Black women, our young Black daughters, wherever they are, and to be able to see yourself as an image that they can strive to.
Yes, yes. Amen.
Thank you.
Outstanding stuff, man. I had to take care of some other business, right? But in the meantime, I was listening uh, on another device, on the app rather, and I said, "Wow, this is brilliant!" And I am so pleased with this program, Groove Swing Speaks. You know, not only are we connecting the dots between grooves and swings around the country, but we're also reaching out to people who do not belong to either organization. Matter of fact, I know for a fact, and I got a text message. I'm listening. I have one of our listeners right now, uh, and she's not part of the swing organization, right? But she's listening because uh, uh, in her family, there's a special needs child. And she was telling me about some of the challenges. I want to ask you this, uh, Sister Edna. She was also saying that, that special needs children, they get used to, or it's advocated in some areas that they need to be on a schedule, so to speak. Okay. And if you disrupt that schedule, you kind of disrupt their fluidity or their way of learning and things of that nature. And you're not in the affirmative. Can you address that, please?
Yeah, but when you think about it, William, I'm kind of like that myself. I mean, I got my routine. I'm telling you, I got a routine, and if you disrupt my routine, uh, I get bothered too. But no, I know, and with a lot of autistic kids, I was listening to, I think it was Brother Mark, because he had someone that was autistic in his family. But a lot of autistic kids, they are used to routine,
Okay.
and that's how they learn. Every day at 9 o'clock we do this, and then we transition to this, and then we transition to that. But the routine is so important, and giving them that routine and that time management is really so important. And not just autistic kids,
Mhm.
kids in general. They need a schedule too. I mean, if you ask any kid, kids do better with structure. They may say they don't, but kids do better with structure. And when you have structure, you have expectations. And if kids know, for an example, when they get home in the afternoon, that, okay, they get their snack, they do their homework, they eat their dinner, and then whatever parents allow them to do. And if they know that that's the routine and that's the structure, they will do better. That's the expectation. And
Right.
that's what special needs kids learn. But I mean, that strategy is good for all kids. I mean, until they can become independent enough to do it on their own. But when you're talking about elementary and middle school kids, they need that structure. And they need to know that there's an expectation that in the mornings when they get up, with a lot of special needs kids, At night you got a plan. We're gonna lay our clothes out. We're gonna put our book bag here. Any papers that need to be in our book bag, you get all that stuff done at night, because in the morning, what they want to do is they want to get up, get dressed, pick that book bag, eat breakfast, pick that book bag up, and go to the bus stop. And that structure is so good. It's an expectation, but that routine and structure is wonderful for them. But
Yes.
like I said, I need structure and routine sometime in my life too to get things done.
you know, I can, I can appreciate that. In my work, I have to say, okay, this is what I need to do. Okay, in the morning. Okay, this is the business I need to take care of, and I'm sure Mark can jump in on this as well. And this is the time that I need to designate to by to the radio programs that we do, because we're on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Music, talk, sports, comedy, entertainment, and a whole lot more. And in the meantime, hey, those of you who are listening, okay, please share this broadcast with your friends. And I'm inviting you to please like and share our brand new YouTube channel. Well, not, sort of brand new. We've had it up for about a week or so, and that is Studio W, The Buzz. Studio W, The Buzz. Okay, and if you are, let's see, we're on LinkedIn. Our fan page on Facebook is Studio W underscore Buzz. LinkedIn is Studio W Buzz. We're on X, Studio W Buzz, Buzz Jams, and let's see, we're on iTunes, LinkedIn. What am I missing here? Okay, Instagram, our apps, and a website, because you can hear this program again. It'll be up in about 24 hours, and you can listen to it live right now on Studio W Buzz, Studio W Buzz. So in case you miss it, and you want to share it with a friend, go to Studio W Buzz, and it will be under featured shows. Matter of fact, we have a tab that says Groove Swing Speaks, and all you have to do is click on it. Please like it, share it, and subscribe. But back to you. I think everyone needs to be organized to a certain degree. Okay. And especially if you're in a business, you must be organized. And routine is a paramount, in my opinion, Sister Edna.
Yeah, I mean, I do a things to do list every Sunday of things that I know that I need to get done during the week, and each day, I check off stuff to make sure that to get things done. And kids are no different. There's some kids that need a checklist right on their desk, and when they get one assignment done, you teach them to check it off, because that's giving them ownership, and you teach them to check off that they've completed that assignment. But it gives them ownership, and it also makes them feel like they are accomplishing things too and getting things done.
And I think it's something that Brother Robert said also, is that, and perhaps you probably said it as well, and that is that growing up, and I believe that all of us on this panel, we probably heard this from our parents, that they wanted our generation to be better than their generation. Take what they gave us and build on it. Education, going to school. You had to go to school. Okay, you need to do that. Hey, Mark, what do you want to say, brother?
No, I think, in listening, like I said, the key for me, I mean, I know I have to have a routine. I know so if I'm a special needs person, I am, because I got to have a routine. And then, I mean, there ain't no way around it. I have to have that. I know one of the disadvantages I did have growing up in early childhood, as far as with schooling, was, it's funny, but it ain't. My mom first took me, put me in school, and she put me in a Catholic school because my sisters and all them went. And I went there, and the first day of school, they was gonna have us write, and I went to write with my left hand, and that nun popped me on the hand and said, "Oh no, you're gonna write this way." And man, I went home that night, told my mom I ain't going back to that school. I, and I mean, I guess I must have really had a tantrum that morning because my dad was like, send him wherever he wants to go. I don't care if it's jail, wherever. Don't send him back to that school. And I'm glad they did because what ended up happening when they go to the school I wanted to, they took the time and the interest to figure out something wasn't right, and they kept, my mom was like, something's weird here because he, for whatever reason, reads well, does this, does that. What's going on? Well, back then they had that tendency to make when the desks were for right-handed kids. They made you do everything at a certain way. And eventually one day it took, I don't know how, I think my sister told my mom, do you ever look and see how he does stuff the exact opposite way of everybody else? Whether it's eating, whether it's this, he does everything with his left hand. Have y'all ever took the time to think that maybe he made him do stuff the opposite way? And that's where the problem may lie.
Mm-hmm.
And once that was looked upon and considered, that ended up basically the problem. And I think, like I said, you have to have the patience. For me, like I said, I have to be organized. I mean, everything for me has to be organized because ain't no way I'm going to remember everything. So I have to have a set way of doing things. And like I said, even with my goddaughter, when it would come to her, she had a set way of she has a set way of doing stuff now. Mm-hmm. And but it's amazing because most of these kids have a special gift, whether it's something where, I mean, I know in the case of my goddaughter, she can draw. I'm like, man, how did she learn how to do this? They have a special gift. And the most important thing is just having that patience to let them grow into themselves and don't make them feel like they're different.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And because I hate this, this society separates everything. And I don't believe that should be the case. I understand, that yes, they have to, maybe the learning procedures got to be a little different, but they're no different than anybody else. They're still kids.
Yeah.
They still want to have that normal life. They want to be treated a certain way. And when you start tagging people with these different, it's this person's that. I mean, to me, they've already lost part of a battle because they're already being categorized before they even get a chance to move. So I just think, like I said, to me, I appreciate every day. I think it's just being patient and realizing that everybody has a special gift. And it's about bringing it out of them and giving them the confidence of knowing they can do it and towards those kids, because you don't have that, it's going to be rough.
Right.
Absolutely.
And the same high expectations that you have from quote unquote normal kids, you should have that same high expectation for kids with disabilities. The same.
Yeah. And Tiffany, I want you to jump in because, there are sometimes some of these so-called professionals, in the teaching arena, teaching profession rather, they do a lot of destruction because of how they speak to children. You cannot take a class and declare that a monolith, that everyone's supposed to learn the same way, feel the same way, respond the same way, test the same way. And I think that is the problem. But give you an example. My brother Clayton, who's generally on this panel, I found out at the age of 6. Now he's not. I wouldn't consider him a special needs person at all, right? But who is that? Luck Demo? I'm not sure who that is. Okay, and maybe someone knows who that person is. But hey, thank you for joining the program. But anyway, I discovered at the age of 6 that he could draw. And this is a true story. He had a coloring book on his left side and a drawing pad on the right side, and he drew the picture. I mean, it was almost identical. Even my parents and grandparents questioned that he did that, Okay, when I told them about it, when they came home. And so my grandfather says, okay, if he did that, let him do it again. And he sat down at the drawing pad and did it again. They said, wow. My mom says, you need to take this drawing to your teacher. And I believe I was in maybe the fifth grade. And so I took it to the teacher. I'm so excited about my drawing that my brother did. And I showed it to her. And she says, wow, this is wonderful. Who did this? I said, my brother, he's 6 years old. She said, Brown, go back to your seat. You're lying.
Wow.
And I said, whoa. And the class started laughing. And I was kind of devastated for a minute. And I'm saying, wait a minute, hold it. This makes absolutely no sense. So sometimes, and Tiffany, jump in here. We've got first Vice President, International President, Crispen Booker on the line with us as well. So he'll be in joining us at the top of the hour. But Tiffany, uh, can you share any experiences, anything that you know about this? Because our children, uh, we, it's an understatement to say, that they are valuable or aren't valuable, but just to say they are valuable, I think we need to go beyond that because I think that in our education system, it used to be among the highest in the world. I think there's been a decline in that. Okay. And I think it's because that we don't get the passion and love like Sister Edna was talking about it. Sister Tiffany.
Okay, quick question, and I do have an experience. Is there a significant difference between children with disabilities versus adults with disabilities?
Well, I mean, yeah. Well, I look at that. Those children that had disabilities, they grew up to be adults with disability, and I think
Mm.
that. And I'm not sure what you mean by the difference. Um, are you talking about cognitive wise or what they can do?
Right.
Yeah, and I think that based on children that have disabilities, based on their experience in school, you have some children with disabilities that that are not going to college. They may not go to a 4-year college, but you have kids that can go to a 2-year college or go to a university or a community college. There are some colleges that have programs just within their system for special need kids where they can go and live on campus and those kinds of things. And I
Mm.
would say that our job as educators is to provide children in school with the skills so that they can become productive working adults and whatever that looks like. And that's going to look different for every child, probably. But I think it's our job as educators to provide them with the best opportunities and the best resources so that they can get some type of employment. And I know there are some kids that disability may be more severe, but trying to get them in a position that when they become adults, that they can be working adults because they want to work just like their brothers and sisters that are non-disabled. They want to have money. Everybody love to have money. They love to be able to buy their own things. So I just think that it's important that when you're working with kids starting elementary, middle, and high, that you're working to prepare them for the life as an adult,
I
a
totally agree.
productive adult.
I have an aunt. I have two aunts that are both like mentally challenged. One
Mhm.
of them, though, she can live on her own and she can drive. She can, do for herself. On the other one, she would have to kind of have some help. Like she can talk and carry on a conversation, but sometimes some stuff she says doesn't make sense. But I think that's because she was also premature too, and her mother was an alcoholic while she was pregnant with her. But my aunt, I am power of attorney over my aunt that can live on her own. It's just that sometimes it's some stuff like when it comes to certain paperwork, you have to sit down and explain it to her, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
Or like she may not understand, like if I have to go to the doctor, you know what I'm saying, and they're trying to tell her what's going on, she might understand, she may not. So that's what I'm there for. So just like you said, it's all about preparing these children to become working and able adults, because sometimes you may not always have someone to be an advocate for for them. And so I think that's very important. If they can have someone in their corner that would be there for them, because it bothers me when I see people like that. It really does. Like I'm just it bothers me so much when people get treated a certain type of way because of their disability, something that they did not ask for. And so when I see that, or if I see my aunt getting mistreated or something like that, oh, I become a whole different person. I become a whole different person. I'm just as nice and quiet as everyone knows me to be. But let me find out that she's been mistreated. You know what I'm
Oh
saying? And
boy,
she was recently taken advantage of, you know what I mean? Because of her
absolutely.
disability. Someone robbed her because of her disability. And she told me, she's like, don't come out here, because she lives in one of those senior citizen homes or whatever. It's not a nursing home, but it's where all the seniors stay. And she's like, don't come out here, because she's like, I know how you are. She turn that place out. Yes. But yeah, I just want to say thank you before you go. Thank you for being an educator and someone that actually can work in that field. I know I couldn't. Um, I don't have the patience for it, honestly. Dealing with one person is one thing, but having to deal with multiple people, that's a whole nother, ball game. So my hat goes off to you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. And Sister Edna, you can stay on as long as you want because coming up, it is first International Vice President Crispen Booker next. But I do have a couple of questions to ask you.
Okay.
Okay. In this process of dealing with special needs and autistic children, um, can you give us some feel good stories of progress? And is there a point where they can become self sufficient?
Yeah, I mean, because I think what we need to remember about any kid, just like ourselves, you can be in a classroom with, and when we say kids with special needs, that's anywhere with kids that have maybe autistic, have a learning disability, behavior problems. They're called emotionally disturbed. There are 14 in North Carolina. There's 14 different categories that students can be identified as. But you can have those kids sitting in a room, and each kid is different. Just like
Okay.
all of us can be sitting in a room, like all of us is that we see here now. We're all different. We learn differently, we achieve differently, but we're all successful. And it may take us a little longer um, to get where we need to go, or we may test differently. We may have to spend more time on writing than math or something like that. And it's the same thing with special need kids. They're all different, but they all can be successful in their own way. And I think the mistake that we make sometimes is trying to compare one kid to another kid.
Mhm.
Apples and oranges are different. Apples, you can have all apples in a basket, but you got all different kinds of apples and that kind of thing. So I just think it's important and that goes back to setting high expectations for kids.
Absolutely.
You got to have
Yeah.
high expectations for kids. And just because a kid has a disability does not mean that they cannot become a successful adult. Because, we all probably got a story where some teacher, some counselor, or somebody said that, no, you're not college material, or you can't do this, or you can't do that. But we had somebody else in our corner pushing us to say, yes, you can. I can remember in high school that I had an English teacher who wanted to put me in all there was like two categories. You had the college bound kids, and then you had the work vocational type kids. And
Mhm.
one of my English teachers told me that, no, you need to take vocational type English, the English that wouldn't get me into college. But I had another teacher who was a history teacher who told me, she said, absolutely not. You are taking all college courses because you are going to college. And
Right.
so thankful that I had that relationship, or that she saw something in me that somebody else didn't see. And that's the same thing that we got to, when it comes to all kids, special needs or not, that, they need somebody in their corner that's going to push them. Because if I would have just settled for what she said and not go to college and not look to go to college and just find a job, I mean, just think about my life or path would have been totally different. Although my parents had told, my parents' philosophy for all of us, and it was 9 of us, and our parents were at 18, when you graduate, you have to go somewhere. Now, you can go to college, you can go to work, or you can go to the military, but you truly have to leave this residence. And that was the expectation. So in high school, you set your own path, and most out of the 9 of us, 6 of us went to college, and 3 of us went to the military.
Hey.
So you set your own path, because the expectation was when you graduate, your residence, your address changes. So,
That is too funny. That is too funny. Hey, sister, thank you so much. Now, before we go to our first international vice president, Mr. Crispen Booker, any contact information? And you also have 2 books, right?
I do. I've written 2 books during the pandemic. The first one was called Reflections from a Quiet Voice. And then my second book I wrote during the pandemic was called Light in Darkness During a Pandemic.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. How do we get those books?
Amazon. This is my first one. This is what the cover looks like. Reflections from a Quiet Voice.
Okay.
And then the second one is Light in Darkness During the Pandemic.
Outstanding. I can't thank you enough. And you can hang around as long as you like, because I've been trying to recruit you to be one of the panelists anyway. So
I told you tonight, my Bible study. We just have to not have Bible study tonight, Brother William.
and
Brother, before I go stop, I just want to give a shout out to Rocky Rouse because today is her birthday.
It is her birthday.
Today is
happy
birthday.
Birthday, Rock Swing.
Love you, Rock. Love you. And she does a lot of work behind the scenes to make this program. She does, and I can't be more thankful of her. And next up, okay. If I had the drum roll music here, I would do that. But anyway, the first international vice president, and I'm gonna allow Brother Robert Hicks to do the I'm gonna ask Brother Robert Hicks to do the introduction.
Thank you, Felman William Brown. And I cannot say enough about this specific Felman that I am bringing up to introduce right now. This Felman just recently celebrated 19 years as a member of the mighty Groove 5 Groove Social Fellowship Incorporated. This Felman is basically one of the stalwarts of the current generation, and he has learned from a lot of the Felman from yesteryear and the Felman of today. And speaking as a Felman, which will celebrate 28 years this coming Friday, I actually had some time to be able to humble myself as an individual sitting next to Felman Crispen Booker, because there was a time where I was considered his right-hand man, especially when it came down to the membership committee within Groove 5 Groove Social Fellowship Incorporated. And I learned a lot basically from learning aside him. He is dedicated, he is deliberate in his wording, and also he is a delightful Felman, because in essence, he always talks about the strong spirit of groove, and also even got to be able to make myself to crack a smile. Because there was a time that I was really a hardliner, but the idea was be able to have joy, to be able to understand that you are part of an organization that is really dedicated to helping the young generations in our community, as well as reaching out to families, especially also presenting ourselves as a upright, strong men in the communities that we serve. This Fellman is also the CEO and founder of a great organization called Veronica's Way.
Mm-hmm.
This organization talks various different aspects. This organization, Veronica's Way, focuses on the war on hunger across various different countries around the world. Computer literacy, to be able to bridge the gap of the technological breaks throughout the diaspora, and also educational support, because definitely education is the key to the future. The missions that Veronica's Way have focused on included Haiti, Jamaica, Grenada, and Ghana. And in 2025, they're going to Costa Rica, which shows that this organization, Veronica's Way, as well as Groove 5 Groove Social Fellowship Incorporated, spreads around the world.
Amen.
And this one Fellman right here is leading the charge. And without further ado, I'd like to bring on our esteemed first international vice president of Groove 5 Groove Social Fellowship Incorporated, the esteemed Mr. Crispen Michael Booker.
You're here.
Yay!
With an I don't think I have to say anything with an introduction like that. Thank you, Bobby.
Wow.
It's been a pleasure working alongside you too. You talk about the delight working with me. You have supported me and coached me through some tough times as the work that we do. It's challenging yet rewarding, and being able to work alongside you and have somebody match my commitment and work ethic is really important, and it's really been helpful. So thank you for all of the things that you do, Bobby, and I'm grateful that you're leading the membership committee now as the chief membership officer. So thank you as well, my brother and my friend.
Hey, this is amazing, man. Hey, Crispin, thank you so much for coming on. And I want to thank our national office for approving this broadcast. As a matter of fact, that means a lot to us because the objective is to connect grooves and swings around the globe, collectively coming in, sharing ideas, sharing information, because we're about educating, uplifting, motivating, and inspiring people, whether you're a groove or a swing. It doesn't matter, because we ask that each and every one share this with your children, share with your grandchildren if you have them, and let them listen in on this program, because Robert, Mark, Tiffany, and Edna, they can attest to the fact that our commitment is to provide just information that you may not or know about, okay? In business, education, medicine, health, and so forth. Brother Chris, tell us a little bit more about, and a beautiful introduction, Robert. That's why I asked you to do it. And I couldn't have done that because I don't know this brother on the level that you do. But I've noticed the few times that we've interacted, he did as promised. Okay, he did his promise. We talked, we communicated, and it sounds like he's on the job. I want you to go, brother Crispin, go into depth a little bit about your duties and your commitment and your passion with our organization.
First, let me say I didn't get to say this earlier, but good night to everyone here. You guys have been doing a wonderful job so far running the show. I've tuned in week to week, and I've loved all of the guest panelists, and you guys are doing a phenomenal job facilitating the conversation weekly. So thank you for all of your hard work with this program. To get into my work, So as first international vice president, my primary role is to support our international president, Solomon Ahmad McDougall. And from there, I am to oversee the committees that are a part of his directorate staff. So I support the membership committee, which Solomon Robert Hicks is the chair of, our community service committee, our IT committee, and our marketing and strategy committee. In there, in addition, I support and oversee our regional directors. We have 9 regions from there. So you can imagine managing 9 different personalities at that point. But it's been a pleasure working with our regional directors. Each of them have a different flavor, as each region has its own chemical makeup. And these men that are leading that charge, it's been a pleasure just learning from them, as most of them have been grooves longer than me, and it's been a pleasure just being able to direct them in where Mod and I see where Groove needs to go. Um, from there, this will be my first conclave coming up in July, so I will be learning what roles and responsibilities are for managing our delegates meeting at that point. But so far, I've been working closely with Robert and our membership since that's my baby, and continuing to drive our membership from that standpoint, bringing back fellow men that didn't, who went through life, who had children, started working, and then showing them the value that we have in our community and that we have internally. So we've been working with that, and then also increasing our membership on college campuses and recently graduate fellowmen. So just been working a lot with our membership and stabilizing our internal procedures from that standpoint mostly.
That is fascinating in the work that you do. And like I said, I appreciate and love your diligence and commitment to your position. And this is the thing. It's just like Brother Robert. And I'm going to tell you, I am so pleased that he's on this panel because
Hmm.
he does some things behind the scenes. He's on each and every week. And brother,
Yep.
I love you for your commitment, Robert. It's no question about it. We talk off air, and that's this brother, he listens to my other shows as well. He listens to them.
He's an
So
all-in type of brother.
As
you know what?
as
That's
I say,
what
bon.
you know, that's what we need to do in our communities, man. Support one another. And this brother is 100. Definitely 100.
Absolutely.
There's no question about that. Sister Tiffany, she's on each and every week. Brother Mark Daniels, I think he might be having some internet connections, problems here. And Sister Edna, I just love speaking with her. So I invited her to be on one of our panelists. And uh, uh, Brother Crispen,
Yes, sir.
thank you so much for the compliment because we're doing the best to connect grooves and swings around the country and internationally. We want to come in with fresh ideas. We want to come in with
Mhm.
information and education. And someone may listen to this program. They could be on a dead end job, or they may
Mhm.
not have written that or finished that book that they were
Mhm.
writing.
Mhm.
They could have a passion for some other field, and we try to bring in information uh, with everyone. It is absolutely uh, amazing. Okay,
So
Robert,
you're
you
doing, if I may, you're doing God's work right now, and
wow,
it's amazing. And Bobby will tell you, one of the reasons we latched on once you pitched the idea to this is our we believe Groove for Our Groove needs to be disseminated and spread and uh, put on display to the world. And we believe we've been doing it through social media over the last 5 years now. We've really increased our footprint. And when you pitched this idea, it was just all God's timing. So we're grateful to have this opportunity to come in, speak, talk about the fellowship and the work that we're doing in the community internationally and domestically. So When you proposed the idea, it was just match made in heaven. So we're grateful to support you and your endeavors.
Thank you so much. And I'm gonna change one thing. It's our
Mhm.
endeavor because it is not the William E. Brown show. It is a Groove Swing Speaks, and I cannot be more proud that you brothers and sisters uh, took it up. When I'm getting some feedback somewhere. Hold on. Yeah, I'm getting okay. I'm getting some feedback somewhere. If you guys have some external speakers on, turn those down or turn them off, right? But anyway, but no, thank you. And I remember, Brother Crispin, when I first talked to you about this, you said, "I love it." It was absolutely incredible. And then I talked to our president, Ahmad McDougal. He said, "Yeah, man." And so that warmed my heart because I'm saying, okay, I have an idea. These brothers are checking in. I mean, listening in. They're supporting us. And can you imagine, with the number of grooves and swings we have around the country, how
Mhm.
powerful we can build this organization and recruit some people that aren't don't belong, or may not have thought
Absolutely.
about joining an organization like this, but there are a lot of individuals out there that are doing community, they're benefiting the community, whether
Mhm.
they are dealing with homelessness or whether
Mhm.
they're dealing with food shortages or whatever it is. We also want to get into, and coming up with this season right now, we need to talk about getting out the vote. How important
Mhm.
is that? How important is getting out the vote? Not only on a national level, folks, your local elections are vitally important. Do
Mhm.
not ignore that. Do not I'm talking about your cities, your counties, your commissioners or whatever, your judges, whatever you need to we need to pay attention to this because we have our ancestors fought and some died so that we have the right to vote. So we need to get out and talk about that. So our upcoming programs, we're going to incorporate some of that as well, Robert. Robert, what do you like to share? And then let's go to Mark, and then back to Tiffany, and whatever questions you have for Brother Booker, Solomon Booker.
Yes, absolutely. And I would say one of the things that is definitely important when it comes down to voting, or say for instance, where it comes down to being a fellowman of Groove Fi Groove, or I'm gonna maybe even say Sister Swing Fi Swing, is the idea that we commit to our organizations. We don't quit. No matter how hard things get, we always find a way to move forward. And especially when it comes down to our communities, whether it comes down to being able to reach out to people, we always find a way. And that's definitely important.
Absolutely.
I would probably say to our first international VP, Crispen, in regards to, maybe you want to talk a little bit about the aspect of Veronica's Way and how that became a part of your purpose moving in the future. And basically the start and moving forward. If you could give a
Got
little
it.
bit of a backstory.
Got it. So thank you. So my grandmother passed away, and she was my best friend. I tell everybody the same story because it's true, right? Like if you know me, I'm a very straightforward and honest man. Um, my mother worked two jobs, and she wasn't home, and my father wasn't around. So my grandmother was here. So when I get home, my grandmother's playing solitaire. She is reading her Bible. She is there. And I don't know what it is with our ancestors. They have a sixth sense when when you come home from school as a child. And my grandmother was very spiritual, and she can tell when I was having a bad day. So I built a relationship, and we were both Sagittarius um, in our zodiac signs. She was born December 4th. I was born December 6th. So we connected really well. She was there through every phase of my life, even Groove by Groove. I told her I wanted to join a fraternal organization when I was 17. She thought it was a cult, and she spoke to my Dean of Pledges, Vance Carroll, and he spoke to my mother and my grandmother, and he explained to them what Groove by Groove is, and they understood, and they allowed me to pledge. I didn't really need their permission, but in my household, it was important that my family understood what I'm doing. So, because once I'm in, I'm all the way in. I'm not a half stepping kind of person. Um, so when I lost my grandmother, it was a heavy blow to me. I wasn't eating, um, I wasn't sleeping, and if you've lost somebody, there are different stages of grief. And then I began to sleep a lot. I began to eat a lot, and I blew up to like over 400 pounds. And in that moment, my grandmother spoke to me and said, "Honor me." And I didn't know what the hell that meant, but you know, I was on a journey in my life to figure out like what that meant. So I ended up going through this leadership development program called Momentum Education. And during their leadership program, I had to put together um, about 20 items that I would complete in 90 days. And they helped flush out what I wanted to do to support my grandmother. And, you know, in that program, I shared that she was a teacher in Grenada and that I'm in IT. And we started playing with things, and I went back to Grenada for her funeral and realized that there were so many children that were just out in the street when they should have been in school. Um, so I wanted to bridge that gap, provide educational support, provide computer literacy to them, because not every school was supported financially by boosters or other nonprofits or the government. There were schools that didn't have anything. So I started taking refurbished computers. I did a fundraiser. I think I had an open mic night in Brooklyn. I gained, I fundraised some money, and I shipped the computers out to Grenada. And this was around 2017. And from there, I'm like, wow, this is how I get to honor my grandmother by creating an organization, a nonprofit called Veronica's Way. And the reason why we call it Veronica's Way is my grandmother's favorite song was Frank Sinatra's My Way. And she had a way of doing her thing. So I put the two together and I called it Veronica's Way. So from there, I had a bunch of people, my line brother included, my aunt, my mother, that loved what I was doing to honor my grandmother, because she was a giving soul, a giving spirit, a giving person, and she taught us that, as children. So from there, we've gone to Haiti, then Jamaica, then Grenada. I have a personal mission. Grenada has about 70 schools. Right now, we have computer labs in about 11 schools right now in Grenada. So until we're going to cover the entire island with our computer labs. And then more recently, just recently, we went to Ghana. Ahmad McDougall said, hey, Groove by Groove, 10 years in having a chapter in Africa, the first fraternal organization to have a chapter in Africa. And he said he wanted to build a lab there. So we ended up building eight computer labs, no, excuse me, 9 computer labs in Ghana in a span. We built all of the computer labs in about three days. And then the rest of the trip, we were there for 10 days the rest of the trip, we were able to go and learn about our roots um, and have different experiences. And now we're going to Costa Rica in 2025. So it's been an interesting journey. We wouldn't be where we are right now as a nonprofit without the support of Groove Fire Groove. Um, as
Mm.
Since I became a member in 2005, Groove Fire Groove has been a part of my life in every facet. If you know me at work, you know Groove Fire Groove. If you know me at school, you know Groove Fire Groove. If you know me at in any place, you know Groove Fire Groove. So when I started Veronica's Way, I built a travel team. That travel team consisted mostly of volunteers, and those volunteers were members of Groove Fire, were members of Groove Fire Groove, and will continue to have members of Groove Fire Groove in it. And every time I go to a new country, I'm wearing my G's. I tell the kids about my organization, and now that Groove Fire Groove is an official partner and sponsor with Veronica's Way, um, every place that we go to, we put the shield up uh, in those computer labs as well.
That is incredible. That's boy, brother Crispin. Okay, with your connections over in Africa, Ghana, now you mentioned you going where this summer?
Next October, we will be going to Costa Rica. So,
Yeah.
mhm,
Okay, Costa Rica.
yep.
Okay, your connections. Okay, and we're going to ask your help. They can listen to this broadcast, which is absolutely powerful. Sister
Amen.
Edna, she had to log off. She has a project she needs to take care of,
Mhm.
but this is absolutely magnificent. They can go to Studio W dot buzz www.studiow.buzz, and they can hear this in Ghana. They can hear it anywhere in Africa, anywhere around the world, and tell them this broadcast will be up in less than 24 hours. I'll try to get it up tonight. They can go back to go to the website, studiow.buzz, and go under featured shows, and you'll be able to hear this. In case you missed it, you want to share with a friend, please do that. I was just intrigued by the conversation and your family and
Mhm.
Veronica. Uh, Veronica's way was Veronica your grandmother?
Yes, Veronica Paul.
That's what I thought. What? Oh man, I'm just picturing this, and I'm blown away. What a strong support system she had to have been, or she is still an influence in your life.
Still influencing me today.
Oh my goodness! Now, as far as your education was concerned,
Hmm.
um, how did she play into that? I think I heard a little bit about that, but how did she play into that, and how encouraging was she with that? Uh,
So, so she was instrumental in my education. Um, it started, again from uh, feeding or educating my spirit and being able to give back to my community,
mm,
understanding the word of God at that point, knowing that we do this work not for ourselves but for those who are around us, who are in our communities. And she was a strict educator. She played no games. When I came home, I had to get my work done, and there was no bullshitting around. But I loved her. You know,
yes.
she she was there. She checked over my homework. And then my mother, when she came home, she double checked it at that point.
Mm,
From there, I went to school in Long Island. I'm a Brooklyn native. I went to school at Adelphi University, where I got my Bachelor's of Science in Computer Management and Information Systems.
right.
Um, and I was class of '08. And then 2013, I got my master's of science in telecommunications and networking and telecommunications management. And yeah, now I work for NYU uh, in their medical IT department, their Epic system as a Epic research analyst. So still furthering my education there as we have to continuously get certifications for staying up with the software to make sure that we provide the best care for our patients.
Mhm. You know what I really love, hey Mark, what I really love about uh, 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 Booker's story is that he had an idea, and I want to find out where did that come from to refurbish computers and provide computers to certain areas. And again, going back to the education system here, uh,
Mm,
you know, there are certain schools and certain communities that get those resources, they get that equipment,
hmm
okay? And then there are certain areas that do not. And that's when going back to how powerful your vote is. We need to make sure. And when you talk about school boards, I'll tell you a quick story, and then I'm going to toss this over to Mark. There's a school district here, and I was talking to one of the most qualified people to be on the board, did not get elected. She had the most qualifications, the most credentials, and I was asking, why could this happen to you? And she was saying that, look, in order to get on our school boards, you don't have to have any experience in education, budgeting, hiring and firing, curriculum, or anything like that. It's the one who has the biggest campaign, the most money that's behind them that gets on the school board.
Makes
And
you think
to
you're
me,
calling the shots.
this was preposterous. How could this happen? It makes
Mm,
no sense at all. So that's why those local elections make a difference, folks. I mean, there are many, 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 and parents that are concerned about the welfare and well-being of their children. Okay, so but we got to get out and vote to make these things happen. I couldn't understand, Mark, how in the world that these underqualified people are running our school systems. And I think, and then I wanted, uh, uh, after you speak, Mark, address that to Brother Booker. How could that be? Because in all of our fields, you've got to have some qualifications for whatever you do. You've got to be able to pass certain tests and jump over certain hurdles to get where you are. Brother Robert, Brother Mark, Tiffany, Brother Crispen, rather. How could that be when we're talking about our children, our most valuable asset, not being guided, or the structure is so that you have people that's unqualified that's running the system, and I think that's part of the problem. Mark, I want you to chime in, please.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's an honor uh, to get to share this forum with Fellman, uh, Kristen. I had the opportunity of meeting him twice. The first time was
hmm
the conclave in Baltimore, and when I got there, I was trying to get my things together as far as the different packages I had, purchased, and he made sure that was taken care of. I
Yes,
saw
sir.
him, I knew who he was, and I introduced myself and I told him what's going on, and then I got to speak with him later on that evening, and then the same thing in New Orleans. I said, God, it seems like I'm always trying to get my packages together when I get here. Uh, but he made sure everything went smooth. The events that we have went smooth, and I knew from meeting him that this was a phenomenal brother, and
Thank you.
the honor sharing this forum with him. Um, to get to your answer a little bit on that, William, I think in school systems, I mean, you and I lived in California. You can see that sometimes it's money that speaks. Just look at the scandal that they had at USC, where you had people with money that were getting their children accepted into the school, into
That's
USC,
right.
and they weren't, their grades, their credentials weren't there, but the money was there. And a lot of it was, big time actors, et cetera, et cetera. Some of them actually, I think, went to prison behind this.
Yep.
And you think in any, depending on how deep people decide to look into it, I think that, when you got the connections to where, as they say, grease, palms, and you can provide certain resources, and you have certain connections with people, all those credentials they talk about go out the window. It's all about, at the end of the day, the money. And until something changes, it's a lot of times it's going to always be that way. It's rare. Like I said, what Brother Crispen is, Philemon Crispen is doing, it's amazing, because I know he's doing what he's doing the right way. You got a lot of organizations that out there, and like you say, with this education systems, they're not doing it the right way. And it, I don't know how that stops, to be honest with you.
Well, I think it stops because if we get out there and vote and really pay attention to the local elections, and and let's be honest, a lot of us do not go out and vote at all. And then for some reason, the local elections get ignored, and so we end up getting what we get. And so that's why it's so important when it comes down to commissioners, school board, mayors, governors, and so forth. Man, I'm telling you right now, and because I'm going to tell you, and I'm guilty, because several years ago, before I said, wait a minute, hold it. I did not participate in the local elections because I didn't think of it as being as important as it is.
Mm-hmm.
So this thing is vitally, vitally important. Brother Christian, and then we'll go to, no, I tell you what, Sister Tiffany, questions for, I haven't heard from you in a while, for Brother Booker and Fellowman Booker, and any comments, suggestions, or whatever it is. And then let's go back to Brother Crispen, and then to Brother Hicks.
Yes. Before I say anything, I just want to say hello. Philemon Booker, it's been a while. But I'm glad to see you. My question would have came early on in the conversation as to what drew you to Groove 5 Groove to begin with.
Oh man. So I was doing research on joining an organization, and I was actually trending towards a multicultural organization at that point. And at Adelphi, I had experiences. I sat down. I had some experiences in some interest meetings for some D9 organizations, and they kind of took this elitist kind of approach, and it turned me off. And we had a step show at Adelphi, and the Bronx Westchester graduate chapter, they stepped. And so at the end of their performance, they end up pulling out a black rose from their pants. I don't know how it stayed there. I don't know how it stayed intact for an entire show, but it was there, and the women went crazy. The women of Adelphi went crazy. At that point, my line brother, the Napoleon medalist, he did his research. He started looking up the website, and I guess he reached out, made contact, and set up an interest meeting with Vance Carroll and the Long Island Graduate Chapter. He told me he was going, and he said, "Hey, we were roommates at that point." So he said, "Hey, I'm going to take a look at this. I think you should take a look at this. Um, they're starting in the '60s. They are in the community like we are. Um, they have some strong stances on things that we believe in. Let's go. Let's listen." And I said, "Okay." The step show, and then my line brother telling me that I looked it up. I love what I saw on the website, and then we sat down. And I will tell you this: Vance Carroll is a salesman. He is one hell of a closer, and he sold me on the idea that Groove Fight Groove is for the people, by the people, and we are young enough or younger than the other organizations where you have a playground to learn and develop your leadership skills and make a name for yourself in this organization. And that sold me. And from there, I've taken full advantage of that from since I became a member to now. So that's my story. Step in the website and my DP Vance Carroll. Him and Lindell Senior, they're one hell of a tag team duo when it comes to closing the deal on interest.
Wow.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I tell you what, it was the same thing with me when I pledged at Virginia Union. The grooves were, I looked at it back then. Okay, I'm 18, 19 years old, whatever it is. And I said, these are the coolest cats on campus. Out of all of the organizations, Q's, I have some Q's friends. I have some Kappa friends. I have some Alpha friends, and that's okay. But Groove to me was the coolest cats on campus. I said, you know what? I want to be part of that. And for me, and I mentioned this earlier during the broadcast, it was not all about what positive things the groups are doing and have done as far as donations, scholarships,
Mm-hmm.
information, and connecting and backing. But it was Robert. It was a real organizations
Mm-hmm.
where the brothers, to me, they were connected, supportive, and it was just a tight, well knit organization. Also, you said now, Fellowman Larry Newell and Fellowman Carol Durham, they were listening as well. So I forgot to mention them. But anyway, to you, Robert.
So to touch on that point, if you speak to most members of Groove Fight Groove, you'll hear that experience across the board, right? I know Groove Fight Groove, the members of Groove Fight Groove like to share that we
Yeah.
are individuals and that's what makes us special. And I kind of beg to differ, right? We talk about how the D9 has this makeup where you have to fit into a certain mold. Our mold that is across the board that everyone fits into is we're cool, we're humble, we're those guys that everybody wants to be around on campus. That we are in our communities, that we are like if you come and you hang around us, your family. You don't necessarily need to share our letters to be cool with us, right? We don't
Right.
make you feel any type of way. We don't discriminate. And Ahmad and I, and this is the brand that we both believe in for Group 5 Group. We're servant leaders, and you'll hear that term over and over. During the Mods episode, you've heard the term servant leaders. That's who we are. We are leaders in our community. We're serving our community daily, in and out. Ahmad's chapter, they do a monthly food distribution from a food pantry. Hudson Valley grad, they do community service every day. I mean, 90% of the chapter is retired, but they do community service every day. They have the
That's right.
most community service hours in all of our out of our 90 chapters. They have the most amount of community service hours completed. So if you see the brand, You hear Coca-Cola, you hear you see Starbucks, you see Netflix. Group Five Group's brand is servant leaders, servant leadership. We are there. We are in our communities daily, impacting our kids, impacting the people that need support, and our elders. Like, it doesn't matter who it is, as long as we can be in service. That is who we are. That is our DNA. And
Oh,
so I
I
just,
appreciate that.
you shared your experience, and I'm like, in 19 years, I've heard the same experience. It doesn't matter if you were in California or if you were in Texas or if you were in Albany or Buffalo. Everyone felt like they felt comfortable to be around the grooves. Being around the grooves was a good thing, the cool thing to do.
That's true.
Amen.
Absolutely. Brother Robert, I agree with Brother Crispin wholeheartedly on that, because we are a caring, loving, giving, and working organization. And I could not be more proud of Groove 5 Groove today than I ever was. Brother Robert?
Yes, because we also are an organization that stands up for what we believe in.
Yeah.
We
Mhm.
also stand up against certain injustices. One thing about the Detroit graduate chapter
Right.
that they had specifically was a shirt that says Groove versus Injustice. If there's
Yeah.
any issues that are out there that we are definitely standing up against, especially of our own people in our own communities, we're not going to stand up for any type of slight for our community. The same can be said for our sisters in Swing Five Swing, because they are
Absolutely.
also standing up as well and making sure that the communities that they serve in are also treated with respect. That is
Yeah.
the important thing. And I will say,
Um,
back to the point where Crispin was talking about Bronx Westchester graduate chapter. I happen to be one of the charter members of that
Here,
chapter.
here.
So
Whoa.
back in the day, 1998, and 26
Oh, yeah.
years and moving forward. But that also shows the outreach, especially when it comes down to grooves are able to serve in the communities that we serve in, because we branch out. Um, because the idea is we can always reach somebody. Swings can always reach somebody wherever they are as well. Because in essence, it's about, at the end of the day, expansion. At the end of the day,
Absolutely.
it's about growth.
Absolutely.
And if you realize that, to be able to understand the outreach that groove and swing have throughout the world, and it is definitely impactful.
Yeah.
And definitely, and
Shout out to
also,
our sisters too.
yes,
No question about it.
yes,
And
Yeah.
Robert, you're exactly right. And that's our objective on this network, and coming on each and every Tuesday. It is one of my favorite shows to do, because, guys, we are on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I look forward uh, to Tuesdays, because we can have conversations that I think that will help someone. I know it will. I get feedback all the time, says that was a great program. And one thing that I get, Tiffany and Brother Crispin and Brother Robert, is that we are so glad to have, or I am so glad, but I get it collectively, and I've heard it more than one time, to have a program to highlight the positive things that Black people are doing, and especially your organizations. Now, if you think back, or you think about this, on mainstream media, often we are not showcased or highlighted in a positive way.
Hmm.
The positive things
yes,
that Black people have done historically. Let's think about this. There are so many great things that have been accomplished, been invented, yet appropriated, okay, we are there. And so what our audience love is the fact that we are showcasing and highlighting the positivity in our communities, right? And if you really, really look at it, it's more positive than it is negative. Yet, mainstream media wants to highlight the negative because it sells newspapers. It sells whatever medium that they're trying to promote. And in my opinion, it's by design. And so with this program, Groove Swing Speaks, we're going to highlight the positivity because everyone knows if you look at society today and the positive things that have gone on, we had a hand in it.
Agree.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely, we have. We've had a hand in it. If not, pro- providing the programs, providing the education, providing the skills. Okay. Look at the inventions that have been made by our community. Look at it. Okay. And Robert, we've talked about this before. Okay. When you first came on and you came on as a guest, and thank God you haven't left, you're still here. I really appreciate that. But look at all of the patents, okay, that black people have, our community have. Okay, look at the inventions, and
Yeah.
then look at those that have been stolen and or appropriated. Come on, folks. We need to start telling the truth. And there's one thing that I hear a lot, okay, with our politicians and mainstream media. They saying, yeah, it's a woke agenda. They use the word woke like it is a negative thing. But if you look at what woke really means, that is noticing the injustices that's going on, paying attention to. Okay? So, yeah, I'm woke. Yeah, I want to be woke. The world will want to be woke. The problem that we have is that we have people with the bully platforms, bully microphones that's going out and they're talking about woke as it is a bad thing.
But
My
I think it's our job. I think it's our job to get in there, like platforms like yourself, and share what's going on, right?
Yes,
Like
sir.
we're we're going to Miami, right? Um, when we decided to go to Miami, a lot of organizations were pulling out from going to Florida, having conventions there. Now that's kind of shifted, that's kind of died down. But Groove for Our Groove, we run towards it. We take that on. We try to support our community. We don't run away from injustices. We work to fix the problem, and we need to use platforms and our communication tools and our social media to continue to spread each other's message and to share each other's platforms and to share all of the good work that is going on out there. Not for anything more than it being good. We need to spread the positivity around. We're going to Miami and we're getting ready to give 500 kids 500 kids free applications to apply to all 60 plus HBCUs. You think people are talking about that right now? Why? The message isn't getting out enough. But we're about to change 500 students in the Miami County area lives. They don't have to worry about applying to college. That's what we're doing as an organization, and we're handing out scholarships down there as well. And we're creating a digital library for kids to gain access to books that we're taking out of the school system. So is that message being pumped? No. Why? Because they don't want to talk about it. It's not the hot thing to do. But we're doing the right thing. We have a plan. We never, if you notice, we don't put out press releases to put out press releases. Everything we do has a purpose behind it. It has an action behind it. We don't protest just to protest. We talk about how we can make change. So if you talking about the negative media that's out there, I agree. There's a lot, but platforms like this, our social media supporting each other. Bobby Bobby sends in a monthly donation to Veronica's Way. He doesn't have to, but he does that because he knows where his money is going. I haven't found government funding or large donor funding yet, but we're still doing the work. There's
Mhm.
I've donated over my organization has donated over 350 computers without having a donor, except for GroupFi Group,
Isn't
right?
that
So
something?
right. So we're talking about people. I was earlier. We're talking about companies that were greasing palms and all that stuff. People, we don't share each other's message enough, right? If we're doing positive things, so I think we can do a better job supporting one another as a community, sharing positive news, right? Look at all the wonderful things that Swing for Swing is doing. I love our sister organization. I love what they stand for. I love what they're about. They support us. We support them. It is a family in more than just a term, so
Absolutely, and
yeah,
you're right, brother Crispin. This is a family thing, and
right.
like I keep saying over again, Studio W. Yeah, we have a global platform, and we broadcast around the world: music, talk, sports, comedy, entertainment, and a whole lot more. This show or this project here, Groove Swing Speaks. This
Mm,
is ours. You know, it's not the WAB show, not the William A. Brown show, the Buzz show. This is something for us. And I couldn't be more proud, Robert and Tiffany and Brother Crispin, to be able to facilitate this. Okay. And that's why I tell my
Absolutely. Here, here.
thank you so much for everything you guys do for us. It is absolutely amazing. Brother Crispin, I can't believe we have 1 minute to go. Hey, what contact information would you like to share? Anything that you like to share with our audience? This floor is yours, sir.
Thank you very much. So you can look us up on Facebook and Instagram at Veronica's Way. You can go to our website www.veronicasway.org. We are seeking organizations, companies that are going to do an IT refresh, where they are going to dispose of their older computers. You can donate them to Veronica's Way, and you can write them off. We're also looking for companies and organizations that want to donate to Veronica's Way financially and or support our next mission trip. And in this December that's coming, one of our missions is War on Hunger. Um, I'm in the works right now, solidifying our third annual Winter is Coming, where we go to a shelter in New York and we give them a 5 course meal, candlelight dinner meal. And at the end of the night, we give them comforters and children toys if they didn't have a Christmas. So we're planning a big event for the end of the year. I'm actually going to meet the shelter tomorrow to confirm that they have everything that we need to put this event on. But we haven't done this event since COVID, so I'm super excited to go and give back to these families and let them know that they have people that care for them.
You know what, hey brother, I thank you and
Right.
appreciate everything that you're doing. And I would we've got to have you back. We've got to have you back soon, man. This has been absolutely amazing. And I want to thank you for participating in Groove Swing Speaks right here on this network. And ladies and gentlemen, again, please subscribe and like our YouTube channel. We have a brand new YouTube channel, that's Studio W The Buzz. And we're also available on Facebook, uh, Twitter. They call it X right now.
Yeah.
LinkedIn, Alexa, Google Play, Apple CarPlay. And please, please, please go to our website and subscribe, leave a comment. go in less than 24 hours, probably in the next few hours. Check out Groove Swing Speaks. This has been absolutely amazing. And I want last words from Brother Robert Hicks and also Tiffany.
All right. Thank you once again. Thank you, First International Vice President Crispen Booker, for being here on the show tonight, and definitely giving of your time and your effort is definitely appreciated, and especially with the activities that we're talking about. We are looking forward to being able to promote those events, and also a couple of things that we have, at least from the standpoint for the month of May, is when you're talking about the Bronx Westchester Graduate Chapter, they are hosting an event to be able for students to be able to pay cash for prom. If you search for G5G on social media on Instagram, Bronx Westchester Grad is or Big Apple City. You'll be able to see a promotion for you that the Bronx Westchester Graduate Chapter and Big Apple City can pay for your prom as well. Also in the DMV area, we have the MJ Stewart Youth Community Day event. That is going to be taking place next Saturday. MJ Stewart is the safety for the Houston Texans. He does an event every single year here in the DMV area. So be able for people to come out and bring your family. It's from 12 to 4 p.m. And it's going to be in Arlington, Virginia. Also, Arlington, Texas. Arlington, Virginia is the location. And also search G5G or S5S on all Instagram to find a local chapter where you are. It's for you to be able to understand our organizations, be able to learn what we do in our communities, and even potentially becoming a member, because there's always room for one more, but also there's a lot of work to be done, and we definitely need the help.
Wow. Hey, I love that, brother. Love it, love it. Hey, Sister Tiffany, your final thoughts, and then we'll go to Mark, and we can close this out. We're a couple of minutes over, but I checked with the CEO, and he was telling me it's okay. All right, go ahead, Tiffany.
And also, I'd like to bring after Feldman Mark, Feldman Larry Newell, who is sitting right next to me, if that's okay, Mr. CEO.
That's fine.
Okay, we'll talk.
Hey, let's see, Tiffany.
Yes, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Oh, what would you like to say? Because I thoroughly enjoyed this broadcast. We had Sister Edna Van from 78. Then we have Crispen Booker, first International Vice President, Crispen Booker on. Great conversation, my brother. You are welcome on anytime, anytime. And we need to hear some updates. So that means that we're going to hold you hostage and bring you back, okay? Is that okay with you? Sister Tiffany, what would you like to share before we exit?
I thoroughly enjoyed tonight's broadcast as well. Quick question. When would there be more information about the trip to Costa Rica or ways that people can be of assistance? Your mic is muted.
Oh, yeah.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. You can find that out on our website, or you can reach out to us on Instagram or Facebook. We're still gathering all the computers and all the equipment. I think we're pretty set at the volunteer mark, but any new volunteers that we get will go to our next trip, which is St. Vincent. Or we have a waiting list. If someone drops out, then the next man up to bat. So, but we're looking for donations, and we're looking for donors at this point. So all the information can be found on our website, or you can contact us on Instagram.
And that is that Veronica's Way?
.org. Yep. And Veronica's Way on social media: Facebook, LinkedIn,
Absolutely.
Instagram.
Absolutely great. Hey, Mark.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Final thoughts.
Well, it was a phenomenal evening, even though I had to skip out a few times because I was doing some things here at work and I need to get that completed. But it was an honor to be able to share this forum with Philemon Booker. It definitely an honor, and always with Brother Hicks, who's a phenomenal gentleman himself. Had a great time tonight. Got a lot of information. Just ready to do it again next week.
Man, I can't wait. I can't wait. Uh, Brother Robert Hicks, Sister Tiffany Hilliard, Brother Crispen, Michael Booker, and also the first guest we had, Miss Edna, Sister Edna Van, right here on Groove Swing Speaks. Guys, until next week, hey, keep it locked right here on The Buzz. Studio W, The Buzz, your global radio network. Can't appreciate now the brother next to you again, Robert.
Yes, that's Fellowman Larry Newell from Washington, D.C. graduate chapter.
Yeah. Hey, guys. Much love, brothers. This has been a wonderful experience, in terms of how we're talking, leveling with each other about each other's experiences. And boy, do we have a story to tell. It goes back. I was an 11-year-old when I first was introduced to Groove. They came out into my neighborhood, first effort in the community, and I'm a product of it. I'd love to share more information and insights about it. So
Well,
we'll definitely be back in with you.
well, I certainly hope so, my brother. Thank you so much, and share it with your
Alan Jeremy is
friends.
here. We give him an opportunity too to just give a little more about his background.
Just a couple of seconds.
Yeah.
Just a little catch up with you, Mr. Brown, because we met last summer at your was that a grad cookout in Virginia?
I remember, yes.
Yeah. So I'm a Baltimore Columbia grad chapter, and these are my partners right now for what we're trying to do here in this area in Maryland.
Hey,
So
keep
we'll
doing what
talk
you're doing.
soon.
Hey, let's do it. Keep doing what you're doing, man, and spread the word. Please let everybody know this is a phenomenal program. Groove Swing Speaks. I can't be more proud of what we're doing, and it's going to get gooder and gooder. Please tell your friends about it, okay? Studio